Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be reviewing the new Nars Afterglow Irresistible eyeshadow palette. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay, so this is the new Nars Afterglow Irresistible eyeshadow palette. This is now available at Sephora. It's also available on the Nars website. This retails for $60 US. If you're in Canada, at Sephora, this retails for $82. If you shop through Hudson's Bay, this is $74. So if you're in Canada, I do recommend shopping at the Bay because you will definitely save some. This is made in Canada and has a 12-month shelf life. The inner packaging is super beautiful. So it's just this gold reflective packaging, and it's got like these pink checkers here. It's very, very pretty. And inside, I have already been playing with this, but on the inside, kind of their standard color story, definitely not looking like it's going to be much different than their other palettes, but this one seems to lean a little bit heavier into those pinky browns. So I do think it's a very, very pretty color story. It's definitely one that I would gravitate towards. So let's take a look at some swatches. Then we will do two different looks, and then I will show you some comparisons. We have Adoration, Amorous, Blaze, Hot Rod, Magnetism, High Stakes, Take a Shot, Frisky, Mood Swing, Pure Bliss, Midnight, and Nitro. Okay, so starting with look number one, I'm going to start with the shade Magnetism. That's this one right here. And I'm just going to blend this one on the outer corner and up into the crease. I love the Nars mattes because they are so buttery soft to the touch. They're almost more silky than anything. And the way they blend on the lids is very reflective of that. They're just so incredibly easy and smooth to blend out. And blending the mattes together is often so easy. I feel like the mattes take a lot of the work out of eyeshadow, in my opinion. I love it. Just want to add a little bit more magnetism to the outer corner. I will also note this is my second time filming this video because yesterday I filmed this when it initially came in. My camera for some reason focused on my shoulders and not my eyes, so you couldn't see a thing I was doing. From there, I want to dip into Midnight, and this one is going to be my outer corner shade. And even that deep dark shade is blending super well into the transition. It's just blending out so beautifully. Now I want to grab this Frisky shade. So this is more like a purple. And I am just grabbing this one on a finger because I found that the first time I did this, I got a ton of fallout, and I found that that was even the case with a wet brush. So I found that using a finger caused the least amount of mess. And the shade's just going kind of all over the lid. I find with Nars palettes, sometimes the best thing to do is keep the look very simple. All right, just blending around those edges a little bit. So again, just a very simple look. I am going to dip into the shade up here. This is Adoration, and this is going to be my inner corner shade, which will just kind of brighten everything up a little bit. Okay, let me pop off camera. I will pop on some mascara and I will come back to show you the finished first look, and then we'll get into look number two. All right, so here's the finished look number one, and I think it turned out pretty well. But let's get into look number two. This is going to be a very standard me type look. I'm gonna go into this bottom shade called Mood Swing right here. This is going to be my crease shade. I'm really working this on the outer corner, and then I will start bringing it up into the crease. Again, just very easy to work with, but like I mentioned, it really does seem to work best if you keep the amount of shades that you use minimal with these Nars palettes. And I've kind of always found that to be the case, but what I really love about this formula is that it works well on such a range of skin types. Dipping back into Midnight for the outer corner, but I find that The Nars formula is one that is very, very beautiful on mature and textured lids because it just doesn't enhance texture. The formula is just so smooth and pretty. The metallics, I admit, are a bit on the flakier side, but somehow they don't even enhance texture, which I absolutely love. Then I'm going into Amorous. Right here, I am taking this one on a finger as well. While I do think these shimmers are a little bit flaky, a little bit messy, which is probably the one thing I don't love, they still don't enhance texture. So these are going to be beautiful on those more mature or textured lids. I love that. And this one's just kind of nice and bright. I think that's very pretty. This is definitely a very standard me type look, but I just think it's very, very pretty. And I am just going to grab the littlest bit of nitro. I just want to add this one to that outer corner to help fuse that really light shade with the dark outer corner. And that's really pretty. I'm just grabbing my crease brush again just to make sure everything is blended. I'm going to pop on some mascara and then I'll be back to show you the final two looks and some comparisons. Okay, so here's the finished look number one, and I think it's pretty. I do like it a lot more than the first look, but I mean, this is definitely a look I would create with any palette. I just like it. It's light and bright. This one I don't love as much, but I don't hate it. So I don't mind that, but just to show you, you can go with these more brownie neutrals, but you can go with these pinks and these purpley type tones as well. So I just wanted to share that. Let's look at a couple of comparisons. So the first comparison I wanted to share with you is a comparison to their other newest palette, which is their Endless Nights eyeshadow palette. This one was their holiday release. I think this one is actually on sale right now, so if you wanted to pick this one up, now is a good time. Looking at the two, there are quite a few similarities. I would say the Endless Nights leans a little bit more into some of these golds, but the mattes overall end up looking pretty similar. So I will pop the swatches on the screen. Obviously you get a lot more shades with the Afterglow palette. Formula-wise, they are pretty similar. I think if you already have Endless Nights, you could probably skip Afterglow, but I do think these are similar enough. Then I wanted to compare to the Orgasm Rising palette, which was the one they released around this time last year. This one is leaning a little bit more into those neutral browns. You do get the Orgasm shade and of course that classic pink shimmer, but otherwise this one is a little bit more neutral. This is a little bit more into those pinky tone browns. So these ones aren't as similar. They're still pretty similar, but these ones aren't as similar by Nars standards. And the last palette I needed to compare is the Summer Unrated palette from Nars. So this one is no longer available, but this one was also one of my all-time favorite Nars palettes. So looking at the two side by side, you can see there's definitely a lot of similarities. The Summer Unrated does have some of these more glittery toppers, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but there is quite a few similarities, obviously. Once again, with the Afterglow palette, you're getting more of those pinky browns. You're getting a more reddish type shade in here, which is not in here. In the Summer Unrated, you have some more purpley options. You have an orange here. You even have this gold shade here. So they're a little bit different. There's still a lot of very similar shades. I do still prefer Summer Unrated because you do get a lot more of these more neutrally options, but they're both really beautiful. You can't get Summer Unrated anymore though, so just keep that in mind. I think if you have Endless Nights, you could probably skip on this one, or even Summer Unrated, you could probably skip on this one. But if you are somebody who just really enjoys Nars palettes, the Nars formula, and likes to collect their palettes, I don't think you'll be disappointed with this because the shades really are beautiful. The formula is their typical top-notch formula. The packaging is stunning. This is probably some of my favorite packaging I've ever seen from them. You are going to deal with a lot of fingerprints, but the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. So overall, is this more of the same from Nars? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they do tend to create all of their palettes within the same color realm. They really don't step out of the box too much, and I completely understand why people feel frustrated with that. However, I feel like there's an entire audience that just absolutely loves Nars palettes, Nars formulas, and I think that's the camp that I'm in. I do wish they would come out with something a little bit more special at some point, but I am still in the camp of I just love their formula and I love collecting their palettes. So I do think this is stunning. I just love how easy it is to work with, how easy it is to create looks. I love the way the mattes just blend right into each other and they take so much of the work out of blending. Again, I do think the best thing with Nars palettes is trying to keep your looks down to 2 or 3 shadows, and I think that's kind of like the sweet spot with Nars, but I do absolutely love their palettes and their formulas. So I'm really happy to have this one in my collection. Let me know down below if you're planning to pick this one up. Did you already? What are your thoughts? I just love hearing from you guys so much. And if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!